I'm Jet. Welcome back to another episode of MDK Racing Victory Stop. How are y'all doing? Y'all having a good day? Cause I know I am. Oh, Lord. Alright, this is going to be a very interesting episode because I'm going to be splitting this as a Bubba Wallace fan and I'm going to critique the race as a NASCAR fan. But let's start off with the good news, or at least the good stuff. Bubba Wallace, what an unbelievable way he had to defend the defending race winner in Kyle Larson to take home his third career Cup Series win, his first win at the Crown Jewel, snapping a 100-race winless streak dating back to Kansas in the fall of 2022 to win the 2025 Brickyard 400, becoming the first black driver to win the race and the second black driver to win at Indianapolis in a major race, joining Lewis Hamilton, who won it back in 2007 in the United States Grand Prix in Formula One. So pretty good company. It was a very popular win, at least I think in terms of the competitors. A lot of the competitors were congratulating Bubba. Surprisingly, a lot of the fans were cheering Bubba. They were even chanting Bubba's name when he was on the stage to accept the trophy for winning the Brickyard 400. And it was kind of shocking to see because I was not expecting that type of response from the fans. I was expecting a lot of boos for it, but it was nice to see. And of course, anytime Bubba is involved in an interview, especially with a moment like this, is going to be emotional. And he gave a very emotional interview, and it just got you in the feels. It's like it just got you in the feels, like the emotion that Bubba displays. And we're going to talk about him in a little bit in terms of the mentality of Bubba Wallace, but the emotion that he displays, I feel like that I don't know how you could not view that as only but a good thing in racing. I think it's good whenever we see drivers show that emotion. Again, there's this whole thing about drivers showing a lack of emotion. So it's nice to see a driver that does show emotion, that shows that, hey, it shows how big winning this race is and it shows how hard it is to win in the NASCAR Cup Series. To see a driver show that type of emotion to win a race like this, it shows A, like I said, how important it is to win the NASCAR Cup Series, and B, the importance of winning at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, not the road course, the oval. I'm just thinking, hey, what they gonna say now, huh? Bubba's thing is always two things. Number one, what they gonna say now. Number two, doing that shush. I mean, he said it. What they gonna say now? I mean, I don't know what else you can say about Bubba. There's always that saying that, oh, Bubba, he gonna win in rain-shorn races, or, oh, he won it because it was Kurt Busch's car. This one, he had to earn because he had to hold off the defending race winner in Kyle Larson. He was able to take advantage. Bubba Wallace was able to take advantage of an incident with Joe Logano. We'll talk about that later. But he was able to take advantage of that. And with around, 20 or so laps ago, was in the race lead. But Larson was closing in. Larson had the faster car. But it seemed as though that Wallace was just conserving his car, saving fuel, and only needed to turn it up a notch when he needed to keep Larson somewhat at bay. And then 6 laps ago, caution comes out for rain. And I'm thinking, all right, it's over for Bubba. It's over. No way he's going to be able to hold off Larson. He's going to choke this somehow. And he did 2 perfect restarts. The first restart, we were in NASCAR overtime, and then a crash that happened with Christopher Bell that tried to just commit murder on Zane Smith by just right hooking him into the outside wall and collecting Bubba's teammate Tyler Reddick in the process. But then the second NASCAR overtime, again, just perfect restarts on the inside lane, was able to clear Kyle Larson by the time they made it to the back straightaway, and was able to get the job done and win the Brickyard 400. So this was a race that Bubba did everything he needed to do, was able to put his car in the right position. His crew did a massive job. Charles Denique did a great job up in the pit box. Everything, they just clicked off, did what they needed to do, execute at the right time, and Bubba Wallace was able to seal the deal. And not only did they win the race, not only did they break out 400 champions, but for the first time ever, Bubba Wallace does not have to go to Daytona worrying about making the playoffs or not, since he is locked in. We're going to switch it up a little bit. Let's first show you the playoff grid following Indianapolis with 4 races to go in the regular season. So a couple of changes. You see Ryan Blaney now with 10 playoff points. Chase Briscoe with 7 out. They each won their respective stages. But the big thing, in 9th, Bubba Wallace colored in green to become the series' 13th different winner of the year. Tyler Reddick, his teammate, plus 138, still a big gap above the cut line. Alex Bowman at plus 63. Now Chris Buescher, the only driver that is not really safe, that is above the cut line at plus 42. Kyle Busch in 18th, minus 81. He was involved in a little crash on a restart, a stack up that ensued. Ryan Preece had a unusual day. He had an issue on pit road, was able to rebound for a top 5 finish. So he still stays the first driver out of the cut line. Ty Gibbs in 19th, but he is $1 million winner, richer, winning the in-season challenge, minus 95. And AJ Allmendinger also was involved in that stack up in 20th, minus 124. Now let's go through the race results. So Wallace and Larson 1 and 2. By the way, I should mention, someone in the comments, I need to find out who it is, but someone in the comments made this reference that the thumbnail that I used for the race day video of Wallace and Larson actually end up being the drivers that would finish 1-2. So maybe I should keep doing these. Maybe I should just take a guess who's going to finish 1-2 in these NASCAR races. But yeah, Wallace and Larson first and second. Third is Denny Hamlin. After starting at the back of the field with a backup car, rebounds for third place. He was able to kiss the bricks, but as a team owner, not as the actual driver. Fourth and fifth, RFK Racing. Great comeback from Ryan Preece after he had a miscue on pit road where the jack fell twice on the car, had a very long pit stop, went a lap down, was able to rebound for that fourth place finish. And Brad Keselowski rounds out the top 5. Look at Todd Gillen, 6th place. Excellent run for him. Ryan Blaney in 7th. Christopher Bell 8th. Alex Bowman 9th. And Carson Hocevar, another top 10 finish for him. And his teammate Justin Haley, for the first time in the while, we've seen him up towards the front in that 7th car. John Nemechek, shout out to him. That 42 car showed great speed all weekend long. What a nice way to cap it off with a top 15 finish. Chase Elliott, a quiet 13th place run. Chris Buescher and Austin Cindric rounds of the top 15. We'll talk about him in a little bit. Look at this. William Byron in 16th. Catherine Legg in 17th. Unbelievable. Great job by her. Kept her nose clean. Just ran the laps. Didn't cause any trouble. And she gives Live Fast Motorsports their highest non-plate finish ever in their history. Absolutely incredible job for Catherine Legg. 18th is Chase Briscoe, 19th is Shane Van Gisbergen, and Cole Custer rounds out the top 20. Then you see 21st Ty Gibbs, like I said, though, was still able to beat Ty Dillon to win the in-season challenge. AJ Allmendinger, 23rd, Josh Berry a spot above in 22nd, Kyle Busch 25th, Suarez in 27th. Ty Dillon was involved in that restart stack up, finishes in 28th. Reddick involved in that overtime crash, 29th, McDowell in 30th, and then Joe Logano 32nd, Noah Gragson 33rd. Eric Jones, he had a brake, or just he didn't have a brake issue, but his right front lug nut was not secured properly, and heading in turns 3, it came loose, and he crashed into the outside wall a ton to finish in the 36th position. Austin Dillon finishes 38th, and Ross Chastain finishes 39th. He was involved in a crash early in the race involving Michael McDowell, where Chastain came down on McDowell. The two made contact, and Chastain crashed into the outside wall hard. Day over. So yeah, let's talk about the race. Again, let's just go back on Bubba a little bit. I think one thing it speaks to about Bubba is the maturity level that Bubba has endured throughout the course of his Cup Series career. We know the story. We know the journey that he's been on. And there's always been this mindset that Bubba is not mentally ready. He's not mentally prepared. I guarantee you that Bubba 2 years ago, if you had that winless streak, that 100 race winless streak, it would have eaten him alive. I think if this was 2023 Bubba Wallace, he would not have won this race. I think there is a difference. I don't know if it's just, just gotten older, or if it's having his son. I don't know what it is. Maybe that could be a possibility on that. Might have changed his mindset on things, but this is a much more mature, much more focused, and much more serious oriented Bubba, but not in a serious way where he takes himself so seriously, where he puts himself down and almost just kicks himself when he's down, beats his worst critic, where he knows that, yeah, listen, I got a 100 race winless streak, but today's a new day. Let's get after it. Let's try and focus on the positive things. And I think that mindset, that mentality is what allowed Bubba to hold off Kyle Larson. Because again, Larson, I felt like, had the better car. You also have to understand that he had Byron behind him in third. And then behind Byron, you had Denny Hamlin. So you had a whole bunch of drivers, big name drivers that were behind y'all, that was behind Bubba, that was hunting for him. And he was able to hold them all off. And I think it is that matureness of Bubba into 2025, where there have been a lot of moments where we have seen Bubba have the opportunity to, I guess, crash out, where we have witnessed that in years past, and he never did. When you would think, oh, this could be an opportunity where we see Bubba have that moment, never showed it. And I think it speaks volume as to this is a different Bubba, much more focused Bubba, a much more, not take himself so seriously Bubba. he established himself today as a driver that can win. He can win. He can be competitive in the Cup Series. And I think when you look at his 2025 season, a lot of the results don't tell the full story. That 23 team has brought in a lot of speed, especially at the beginning of the year. They showed a lot more speed than where they finished. And this was finally one of those races where everything worked right. Everything together, from the driver to the pit crew to the crew chief and Charles Danique. Everything came together beautifully, and now they're Brickyard 400 winners, and they won't have to go to Daytona worrying about whether or not they're going to make the playoffs. Now, let's talk about how he did get to that point in time, because after that final round of green flag pit stops, he was second, and that's another thing I mentioned about with Bubba in terms of saving fuel. Him and that team put himself in position by saving fuel right from the very beginning, spending as little time as you possibly could on pit road for fuel. In that final pit stop, he came out second. Ahead of him was Joey Logano. Nobody had Logano at all, was not even a factor at all throughout this entire race, and yet he was there in position. But then in the closing laps, out of the blue, out of nowhere, just has a right rear tire go down as a race leader, and that ends his chances of having a shot at winning the race. Alongside his teammate Austin Cindric, who I believe in stage 2, or at least with 15 laps to go in stage 2, again, had the same thing by himself as a race leader on a straightaway. Boom, right rear tire goes down. We saw a couple of these happen throughout the race. The right rear tire is going down, but the 2 and the 22 were the most significant of the bunch. And it was just weird. I don't know if it was maybe how Penske set their cars up or what, but it was just weird how both Penske cars had incidents like that happen at the same time when they're both leading on a straightaway. It's just weird. Now let's talk about the race itself. How was the race at Indianapolis? I am, for one, no matter how good or bad a race is, NASCAR should always be at the Brickyard. They should always be at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway Oval. If you are a top echelon of racing in the world, you have to be at Indy on the Oval. Not the road course, the Oval. So I do not want that to change, but we again do have to talk about with this next gen car, and that it is extremely difficult to pass. Stage 3 was entertaining, but from the mindset of so many things were happening in terms of pit strategy. And I think that's what saved this race, honestly, was the strategy, because it was all over. It was fuel strategy. I mean, the first stage, I believe, was just drivers saving fuel, saving gas. But from that point onwards, and especially stage 3, where we saw a lot of different drivers try to do different things in terms of pit strategy to get ahead of the game, get ahead of all the other drivers, that was very entertaining to watch. But in terms of on-track product, obviously the restarts were fun. Larson charging down Bubba, that would have been a great battle, I think, if that caution didn't come out for rain. That would have been a great battle to the finish, I felt like. So stage 3 kind of saved this race. But overall, in terms of in the grand scheme of things, there wasn't that much on-track competition. I don't believe there was a single on-track pass for the lead in this race. Granted, I know Indianapolis is an extremely tough track to pass. I mean, hell, even going back to the 2000s with Gordon saying on record that Indy is probably the most difficult track to pass. I mean, so it's not new. It's nothing new. We know this. But I do feel like that it was more possible. It was more of a possibility to be able to pass drivers in the Gen 4 and even in the Gen 5. But in the next gen, with so much dirty air and so much downforce on these cars, it has made it very, very, very hard to pass. I mean, hell, even the Xfinity cars and that god-awful package yesterday, they were still able to make these moves and make runs. But it seems that with this next-gen car, it's like there's something, I don't know whether it's more horsepower, what you can do there, get a tire. I don't know what the answer is, but it is still a work in progress. I want NASCAR to stay at the Indianapolis Oval. I don't want them to go back on a road course. I want them to stay there, but there is some work that still needs to be done. If I were to rate this race, I'd give it maybe a 6 out of 10 because this race was still pretty entertaining from a strategy perspective. Not much really happened on track. For Indy standards, I thought this was pretty good. For Indy standards, for typical race standards, wasn't all that, but I give this a 6.5 out of 10. I thought it was not bad. Stage 3 was a lot of fun. Overall, the race in terms of the grand scheme of things was very interesting from a strategy perspective. Kind of predictable because again, it wasn't anything three-dimensional. It wasn't like drivers trying to do different things in terms of tires or anything like that. It was just stay as low as you possibly can on pit road for fuel. That's it. I mean, you saw a lot of drivers not really take tires as much. They were really only taking 2 tires, either left sides or right sides. That was it. There wasn't any tires didn't really matter in this race unless you were the Penske drivers, and tires definitely did matter. But outside of that, tires didn't really matter. It was just getting out in front, getting that clean air, and spend as little time as you possibly could on pit road, and you were set. But what are your thoughts in this race? Let me know in the comment section down below. As always, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content. Until next time, my name is Jet from MDK. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next time.